The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Shady Rays. Shady Rays is having their best deal of the year. Go to shadyrays.com and use promo code SGPN for 50% off of 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Welcome, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Saturday, April 29th. Currently 11:36 on the East Coast. Here to recap what we saw in the NBA playoffs last night on Friday. We'll also discuss the series preview between the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks, and also touch on game one between the Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets here tonight on Saturday. But joining me here to help me break it all down, you guys know him as the voice of the Tennis Gambling Podcast, the WNBA Gambling Podcast, the NFL Gambling Podcast, of course, here on the NBA Gambling Podcast is Scott Studio Reichel. Scott, what's going on, my man?
An interesting two-game.
You're good.
Yeah, okay, just making sure. I just saw a notification on the top. Yeah, overall, can't complain. Definitely an interesting two games that we saw yesterday. Not in terms of point margin at the end, but just based on outcomes, I guess. Maybe the Lakers winning wasn't that big of a surprise to some, but looking at the Warriors game, I'm shocked they got blown out at home. I thought the Warriors would win the game. I picked Sacramento to cover. My lock for the show was Looney over 12.5 rebounds, so that got there. So I can't really complain too much, but I'm shocked Golden State got run out that badly. I figured after Sacramento had blown home court advantage, they might have struggled to mentally re-engage for Game 6. That was not the case. Golden State, I thought, looked like a pretty old team throughout the entire Game 6. It looked like that Sacramento was just faster, and Golden State looked exhausted for the entire game. Now, nobody on either side could hit a shot for a decent portion of it, so that kind of cancels out, but you're looking at what Golden State did right yesterday. What did they do right besides Curry having a decent spurt there in the start of the fourth quarter? But they were down double digits for most of the second half, or they were down by like 6+ for most of the second half. It felt like Golden State really just didn't have enough energy to get stops in the defensive end or even just to cut into the lead. Sacramento had an answer for every single problem that they faced.
Yeah, I think that was the case last night. We'll dive into it here in a minute. But also joining us here to help us break it all down, it's playoff Delonte. Delonte, what's going on, my man?
Not much, man. Was a decent stretch of games last night, I guess, until the Lakers.
The Lakers game was horrible, but it was
entertaining.
And the first game was great. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I was going to say, if you enjoyed watching Memphis get run out, it was a good time. But the game was
over
in
of course.
The first 5 minutes.
As a Lakers fan, I enjoyed it. The first part of the game, it felt like Memphis was going to get back in it. But the Lakers couldn't hit a shot. I think they both were combined midway through the second quarter, 7 of 25 from three, if I'm not mistaken. So nobody could hit a three. And Memphis went to that zone, and I thought that it was somewhat effective, but then they went away from it after they cut the lead down to maybe I think it was from 15 to 7 or 8, and then they went away from it, and the lead got back up. But yeah, man, I enjoyed seeing the Kings win last night as well. I know we'll dive deep into that in a few. But yeah, man, looking forward to breaking down today's card and the Miami and New York series also.
Yeah, so last night, I mean, we already touched on some of it, but Lakers close it out in convincing fashion, in blowout fashion. Dylan Brooks didn't get an individual 40-point performance put on him, but his team lost by 40 points last night in an elimination game. But I think it was from the tip that in the first 2 minutes, Memphis looked pretty okay, but after that, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, the defense, D'Lo had a great first quarter for the LA Lakers, and overall had a huge game for them to close it out. So I know Anthony Davis said that he was ready to play all 48 minutes. He only needed to play 3 quarters. And I think that's huge for them, for the Lakers. So they take care of business. Memphis, I had picked the Lakers to win this series. I just don't think they're a very good basketball team in the playoffs. They're a great regular season team. We saw they were dominant on the floor, on their home floor. But there's still a lot of roster construction that needs to be done about this team. But we'll talk about that in the offseason. But I think the bigger conversation is for the Warriors. So quickly to wrap up the Lakers, Delonte, any other thoughts from the Lakers series last night or overall as we move forward?
Yeah, no, they're just gonna have to. I mean, obviously D'Lo was a spark, but we know with he's inconsistent, so he's not gonna play like that every game or even come close to it. He has a little bit of stretches where he looks like a top 3 pick. Was he top 3, third? I think he was
D'Lo,
top
I
3.
think wasn't he?
Yeah, so yeah, he
D'Lo
has
was
moments
top
where he plays
3.
like a top pick, but other than that, inconsistency. I thought that they did a real good job defensively
Mhm.
on the wing. So if they can keep that up, they're definitely going to need that perimeter defense in the next round, no matter who the opponent is.
Yeah.
Specifically, if it's Golden State, they'll definitely need it. But I thought they were just locked in from the jump as far as defense goes. The offense, it wasn't there. They just ran in transition and were able to get out and run off misses. So I think they got to clean up some of the offensive sets in the half court and get better offensively. Ham's got to do something with the lineups, like this Gabriel Brown minutes. Not a fan of, but yeah, I'm
Brown
looking
didn't play
forward.
much last night, did he?
Yeah, he didn't, but the Gabriel did. So I'm kind of confused as to why like Beasley wasn't in. And
Well, I mean, Gabriel also played in garbage time.
Yeah, it
so
was
I
all
don't know if that
garbage time
really.
too. Like,
but
I think like by in a 3, like midway through the third, like we kind of had a feeling that LeBron and AD weren't going to play in that fourth quarter. So I think that's why he really got out there. But other than that, I mean, kind of going forward, I don't think that he'll really be in that rotation, whether it's the Kings or whether it's the Warriors.
Yeah, but other than that, man, I thought it was a good performance by the Lakers to close out, get an extra day of rest.
That's huge.
So yeah, it's big for them, especially for LeBron and AD to be more refreshed on Sunday when they play Sunday, right? Not Sunday, Monday.
So game 7 is tomorrow.
No, it would have to be
between
like
Kings.
Tuesday.
Tuesday,
It'll be
Tuesday, yeah.
The
I wouldn't be
Warriors and
surprised if it's
Kings
like
haven't
Tuesday or
even.
Wednesday. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's right. So if Warriors would have won, they would have played on Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
Right.
they get an extra few days, man. That's huge. Obviously, the travel is not going to be crazy. No matter who the matchup is, they'll still be in California.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's big for them. I'm looking forward to seeing them perform in the next series. Not looking forward to see Darvin Ham coach though. But yeah,
I think for the Lakers, and we talked about this during the regular season, that their supporting cast was not very good before they made those trades. And then you had a different guy step up every single game for them, where you didn't have to heavily rely on Anthony Davis and LeBron James. I think there was one game where LeBron and AD combined, I think, for like 62 or some odd points for like in a game. But we saw game 1, it was Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves. There was different guys that stepped up every single night. Last night, it was D'Lo. It was the defense last night. So I think that's kind of a breath of fresh air if you're a Lakers fan. And I think Darvin Ham, I think he's going to be fine. I think he's learning as well, being a head coach in his first playoff series and in the first time in his career as a head coach. And I think he also has guys like LeBron James that are there to also help him, right? I know LeBron, there's points where, we go in timeouts and talk about some plays that they want to run. LeBron does have his input there, and it's not a bad thing, but I think that's only going to help Darvin Ham when you have a high player IQ like LeBron James. But yeah, an impressive win last night for the Lakers. They move on. Like you mentioned, Delonte, this is going to be a huge advantage for the Lakers getting those extra days of rest. We have guys like Anthony Davis are prone to getting hurt. LeBron, he's up there in age and he was dealing with some, knick-knack injuries during the regular season. And I think it's just a confidence booster for them. So I was impressed with the Lakers all throughout the series, especially in game 6. Scott, takeaways from the Lakers and Memphis last night?
My main takeaway, I thought the Lakers played the best defensive game I've seen probably all year from any team. Yep. Yes, I know some teams have scored less, but the Lakers were everywhere in that game. Memphis had like 20 points halfway through the second quarter, like 27 points halfway through the second. It was a bloodbath from the start to finish. But the Lakers, I think when they are on and they're mentally engaged, I think they're the best defensive team in the league. It's mostly because of Anthony Davis. I just think Anthony Davis, when he is healthy or even healthy-ish, he's the best defensive player in the league. I don't think it's really close. I know people can argue Giannis if you want to, but I mean, from what I saw in the playoffs, whether it was because of Bud's scheme or not, I didn't think Giannis was that impactful defensively in that Heat series. Davis has been incredible. He had like 4 blocks in each game minimum? He had like 26 blocks in 6 games.
He had like 3 in this game in the first
but then
quarter.
everything else he had 4.
Yeah, but the point is the Lakers defensively, I just think, have a gear that most teams, if any teams in the league, just, I think that they might stand alone in terms of a defensive gear that other teams don't have. So that bodes well for them. When it comes to their potential second-round matchup against the Warriors or the Kings, I think the Kings could give them issue with the tempo they play at. but I still don't think the Kings guard anybody. And if Sabonis is getting destroyed by Looney and by Draymond, AD is going to kill Sabonis in that series. AD is going to destroy him, is just going to destroy him. As for Golden State, they look really old. Like, that's the real problem I have with Golden State. I just feel like after a 7-game series, now you face off against a Lakers team that's extremely athletic, that's extremely just lengthy, and I'm still not exactly sold by Golden State's defense. Yes, I know Looney as a rim protector is not great, but his positioning's okay. And you have Draymond, who is undersized, but we know that doesn't matter because he's so big that he's able to do his own thing. But the issue with Golden State, which we're going to talk about in a second from Game 6, I just thought they looked really old, and I thought that they had no depth. And Poole, we're going to once again have a conversation about Poole in a second because I feel like we have to. Nobody on Golden State really scares me besides, like 3 guys maybe, or maybe 2.5. Like, you can argue Wiggins because he's been consistent. He wasn't that great yesterday.
Yeah.
But how many guys on Golden State actually scare you on a game-to-game basis? 2?
I just think it's probably Curry. If Curry, Thompson, and Green are on the floor together, I think obviously that's their best lineup. I mean, that's one championship.
And Draymond offensively, like, yes, I know he had 20 points in Game 5, but still, you're usually going to get like 7.
It's usually Curry.
Yeah, Curry's
he strikes fear in my heart.
Yeah, he's probably
Curry's Curry.
He's probably worth
Clay's had a good playoffs, but still, every now and then he might get a little bit heat check happy, and he might take some bad shots. Wiggins has been fine, but I feel like that's where the Kings kind of, I don't know if you want to do the segueing now into Game 6 yesterday, but just watching it, the Kings had so many guys off the bench who can just give you quality minutes, whether it involved Monk, who has been amazing in this series. Lyles gave them some minutes. I know Terrence Davis got into foul trouble immediately, but even he provided a little bit of a spark in terms of energy. Davion Mitchell didn't play much, but we have seen him play relatively well in games past. They just have guys. They can rotate and go 7-8 deep. You look at Golden State, I don't even know who they have. You're looking at their starting lineup. Draymond, I guess, in theory, is a bench guy because he comes in off the bench. Poole's been unplayable. DiVincenzo hasn't been that great. You haven't given Kuminga any minutes in this series. What does Golden State have unless Curry and Clay combine for, I don't even know, 58 points? Like, I don't know what they have. They don't have any good bench players they can actually rely on to give them 20 to 30 good minutes in a game-in, game-out basis.
Yeah, I think for the Warriors, it's obvious. I think you were going to have to start playing Curry like 40-plus minutes if they do advance against the Lakers.
Clay and Draymond, and probably Looney, honestly. Like, at this point, how do you look at your bench and go, yeah, we have to, like, keep Looney on the bench? Like, Looney might have to play 40 minutes.
I don't think he can.
Yeah,
I don't know if he can either, but just based on I got to think of how Golden State can pull off a Game 7 in Sacramento. They have to limit Sabonis, dominate the boards, and they have to get hot from 3. But you're looking at what Golden State's best lineup is in this series. It's Draymond and Looney together because Looney's been a madman on the glass, and I cashed the rebounds by a hook yesterday. But you're just trying to think of what Golden State can do. I feel like the issue that they run into compared to previous years is the fact that in previous years, at least they had a bench. They had some guys who can give you some quality minutes, can stall a little bit while Curry and Clay got their legs back. This year, they really don't have it. The Kings are faster than them. They're deeper than them. And apparently the Fox finger injury is not as big of a deal because he had a double-double last night with 20-plus points. I think Golden State's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, all right. Before we get Delonte's thoughts on the Game 6 between Warriors and Kings, let me tell everyone about Shady Rays. One of these two teams are going to need some Shady Rays before they go 1-2-3 Cancun. And our friends over Shady Rays, they've got them covered from the sun to the slopes with premium polarized shades, customizable snow goggles, and much more. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair that we've worn. Durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. And that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Wear Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. With Shady Rays, you can look good and feel good. Today, they have donated over 20 million meals to fight hunger with Feeding America. If you don't love them, exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop with Shady Rays. Their team always has your back. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out the best deal of the year. Go to shadyrays.com, use promo code SGPN for 50% off of 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The Shades rated 5 stars by over 200,000 people. All right, Delonte, give us your thoughts about the Warriors and the Kings last night.
I thought it was a good game plan by Mike Brown. In the presser, he was talking about how he didn't want to go small, so they went a little bit smaller and put Trey Lyles at the 5. And he was saying like he didn't want to do it at first, but his assistants were kind of like egging him on, like this is what we need to do. And he didn't want to get killed by Looney on the boards, but then he came around and was like, we're gonna get killed by Looney on the boards regardless, so we might as well go small and make it to our advantage on offense. So it worked a lot. With Trey Lyles in the lineup. I can't remember his plus minus, but it was through the roof when he was on the floor. I mean, ultimately, I think the Kings are a better team. If they win or lose game 7, I mean, they had more opportunities to win the 6 games prior than the Golden State Warriors did. They blew the one at home. The first, I thought, was it game 1 they blew? Oh no, game 3.
I was going to say game 1 and game 2 were very close. Game 3, but Golden State ended up falling short. Golden State killed them in game 3. Then Barnes missed a shot in game 4.
Game 4 was Harrison Barnes.
But you can argue that shouldn't have even happened because Curry took a timeout they didn't have.
Right. So I mean, I just feel like that the Kings are a better team. I mean, Scott, you ran through the litany of depth problems that they have.
It's a matter of counters. Like Golden State doesn't have many guys they can actually trust on a game in, game out basis at this point. And the Kings. You mentioned Trey Lyles with his plus minus. We've seen Mitchell before. I mean, I mentioned the names a little while ago. How many people on Golden State do you think Coach Kerr actually trusts in a must-win game 7? Like 4 people, maybe?
I'd probably trust his starting 5 if Draymond's in there, like Curry, Clay, Draymond, Wiggins, and Looney.
Okay, so 5.
Yeah. So pretty much your bench.
How many do you think Mike Brown trusts? Like 7 or 8?
Oh no! I would go.
Herder made some shots.
Probably 6.
Herder finally came alive. Yeah, and that was, I think, the difference last night was Kevin Herder finally coming alive.
Yeah, I thought the difference was Keegan Murray, but that was.
Yeah, I mean, he's been a difference the past 3 games. He heated up on the road in that game 4, and it's been carrying over through the last few games. But yeah, all in all, it's the ultimate "I told you so" series. If Golden State wins, is the Kings are too young, they're not ready. And then if the Kings win, it's Golden State's kind of old. They don't have a lot of, depth. They don't have a lot of answers after Steph and Clay. So, I mean, either way, people are going to sway their argument. I think it's more so like recency bias every game because you can go back and look at people talking about like, okay, the series is Golden State's in trouble when they lost 2. Then Sacramento's in trouble. They're too young. And then now it's just kind of the same thing. Whatever people see last, obviously recency bias plays a big part in handicap is something we, kind of can't do as bettors with the recency bias. So, I mean, I like the Kings. I think they're gonna get it done. I just think that Mike Brown is just doing a phenomenal job of coaching and with the rotations. The defense doesn't look like it's being like it doesn't look better, but it is actually he's actually playing different things and giving Steph different looks. Steph was 9 of 25 last night.
He hasn't had a very good shooting series.
Right, so
like there's 2 games in a row.
And even the Steph shots that he made, a lot of them were early 4th quarter down double digits. He really wasn't good for the first 3 quarters of this game.
Right, so I feel like he's doing a good job on Steph. Now Wiggins, obviously the Draymond thing wasn't going to keep up the 21-point game that he had. That wasn't happening again. So they just don't have the guys. I mean, Poole's been terrible. I mean, no surprise here that he's terrible, but I think Moody is going to have to be inserted, and you're going to have to at least give him a shot because at least he is like competitive on the defensive end. Poole is he's arguing every call, no matter what happens. He's arguing every call, running up and down the court, getting beat by whoever he's guarding. So yeah, man, I think the Kings are going to get it done. Regardless if they do, I think they're still the better team. But yeah, that's not just 2 cents for the Kings and Warriors.
I want to give a shout out quickly to Poole for trying to stat pad his numbers in the final couple minutes and missing a dunk. Want to give him a shout out for that?
I didn't even see that.
I think
it was like 3 minutes left. He tries to go to the rim and dunk it, and he missed the dunk. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. Just Poole, get out of here. But
also last night, the Warriors' fourth quarter offense, they scored one basket in the final 8 minutes and 36 seconds.
Was that a garbage time basket though?
It would no. There was a Wiggins. I think it was a jump shot or a layup.
Oh, okay.
That I read.
Yeah, I think it was
when
a post-up.
Yeah, but other than that, it was free throws and nothing. I think that both teams come out for like 2 points in the final 3 minutes. And after the Warriors emptied their bench, it was 2 points scored in that final 2 minutes and some odd seconds. But yeah, we'll see. Game 7 tips off on Sunday. I know Delonte and Terrell will cover that in depth, so look out for that. Then guys, let's transition over let me go to an ad break first, and then we'll transition over to the series preview between the Heat and the Knicks. The Heat and the Knicks. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. The NBA and NHL playoffs are here, and what better way to get down on some player props than over at Underdog Fantasy? Besides daily NHL, NBA, and MLB games, they've also already got NFL best ball drafts with a guaranteed $500,000 in prizes. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus of up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. All right, guys. Scott, you and Terrell didn't cover game 1 for the Suns and Nuggets. Did y'all just talk about the?
No, we only did the series.
Okay, so why don't we do game 1 right now, and then we'll do a series preview to wrap up the show between the Knicks and the Heat. So, game 1 of the first conference semifinals in the Western Conference is going to be between the Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets. Game 1 in Denver tonight. Line currently stands at Denver Nuggets minus 3.5 with a total of 226.5. Delonte, why don't you lead us off for game 1 here between the Suns and the Nuggets? What are you thinking about the side?
Yeah, I like Denver here. I think they are the better team, obviously better depth. Suns are pretty much top heavy. And although they probably won't stop Durant, I think it's a big Durant series. I'll talk about that later on. But I think they have bodies to throw at Booker. They have more bodies to throw at Booker than they do Durant. And Booker was more so the aggressor and dominant force in Series 1, which the Clippers, they didn't have many guards to be able to stay in front of him. They were more equipped to guard Kevin Durant, which I think is opposite here. I think the Nuggets are the better team. Obviously, one of the better home teams in the NBA, 34-7 straight up. So I think the series price is outrageous, honestly. It's coming down now, but earlier when they posted it at plus 130, I thought that was crazy. I just think the Suns will run into some problems with the pick and roll with Jamal Murray. I think they won't be able to withstand some of the stuff that the Nuggets do in the half court. So Ayton is going to be big here because they're probably going to ask him to just play one-on-one with Joker, and I don't know how well he'll hold up against that. Now it's up to Joker if he wants to. I
think we know how he's going to hold up, but you're trying to be generous. But
yeah, but the thing is, I just don't know how. If Joker's going to be in the mood to score, we never know what he's going to do. He can impact the game in so many ways that he doesn't have to score the ball. So I'm not sure how aggressive he'll be. So I think he might be in more of a facilitator role. The thing that does worry me with the Nuggets is Michael Porter Jr. I don't know how much they can play him because they can't hide him.
He can't guard anybody.
Yeah, I mean they can't hide him. So who do you think he's going to guard? Craig or Okogie?
They're going to try. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that with today's NBA, though. I mean, you could use anybody as a screener and get the switch you want. But
that was my next
unless
point.
Porter hits a bunch of threes, I don't know how you can play him because he's going to get torched in switches the entire series.
Right, and that was my thing. I think he's going to get hounded defensively by. I think he's going to get hounded defensively by some of those guys the Suns have, and also whenever he is on defense, I mean, they're going to do the small pick and roll with Booker, Chris Paul, or Booker, Kogi, or whoever's on the floor that he's guarding. They're going to put him in numerous pick and rolls. But I think the Nuggets are the good side here. I'll lay the 3.5 with them. Probably look for them early on, too, because the Suns get off to a slower start.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a game a series that we see a lot of points being scored. As far as the side, really? I think so. I think there's both flaws on the defensive side for both teams. I mean, we saw in the series for the Phoenix Suns against the Los Angeles Clippers that they were able to put up points. I know even in the closeout game they got 130 points put up. Even in the first two games when Kawhi was there were points that were being put up, and I think I think 4 of the 5 games did go over the total between the Suns and the Clippers. And then the Nuggets, I know that Minnesota wasn't very competent on the offensive side, but you have a completely different offense coming into this series with the Phoenix Suns when you have guys like Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, two of the more prolific scorers on the wings or in the perimeter for the Phoenix Suns. And I think it's going to be a battle of which team makes the proper adjustments on defense, because I think for the Phoenix Suns, they can pick and roll Jokic to death. And then also what we talked about with Michael Porter Jr. right now, that defensively, I think he's going to be a liability out there as well. So at least for game one, I'm with you, Delonte. I like the Nuggets in game one. It's kind of telling that this books have the Suns favored in the series, but in game one that the Denver Nuggets are favored here. Denver, we know, like to push the pace, especially at home as well. I'm looking at Denver in the first quarter there as well, but I think my more favorite play is going to be on the total here. But Scott, why don't you lead us on the side, and then we'll transition to the total.
So, yeah, I have more of an opinion on the total in this game, but for the sake of the side, I think I am going to lean to Denver, just because I do think with the crowd atmosphere that's going to help them out. Phoenix defensively has really not been great. At least Denver at times. Yes, maybe because Minnesota's offense isn't very good. Denver did look okay at times defensively in that series. Phoenix looked horrible defensively for the entire series. They were just able to outscore the Clippers the entire time. But I do think at the end of the day, when you see these teams match up, Jokic is a matchup problem for anybody on Phoenix to deal with. It's a matchup problem in general. That's why he won back-to-back MVPs. But still, I do feel like Phoenix has a lot of issues with communicating switches, off ball especially. I think Jokic is going to pick them apart passing-wise early in the series, especially if they're able to take everyone away from the basket, open up some backdoor cuts. From what I've seen historically, let's say Booker and Chris Paul at this stage in his career, I think could be a little bit more, I'd say, active off-ball defensively. And I do think Durant's a good help defender, but I do think at the end of the day, you're going to see Denver early on in this series have some success using a lot of misdirection off-ball and trying to get guys open. I'm going to lean Denver on the side here. I find it fascinating that Phoenix is favored in the series, but Denver's minus 3.5 in game one.
Yeah.
That's kind of telling to me. I'm going to lean to Denver in game one, but once again, I have more of an opinion on the total.
We'll transition into the total. What do you like on the total?
I like the over. I'm a big fan of the over in this game. I agree with you that I think this series will have a bunch of points. Phoenix hasn't even looked like they've tried to play defense in the playoffs so far. Now, I know the Clippers have played faster on occasion, but they were also using Zubac for a decent amount of the series, and they were still scoring a bunch of points. The team only had Westbrook for a couple of games, and they still scored 130 points. I don't think Phoenix is a good defensive team. Denver, they've been better. They've been using some certain defensive tactics to try to avoid getting Jokic switched into all these pick and rolls. But you still have to deal with Booker. You still have to deal with Durant. I still think they'll get whatever they want at some point in the series or in a decent amount of these games. So I'm on the over. I don't see many actual stops happening between these teams. I see a track meet. So give me the over. I see this game potentially breaking 230, maybe even 240 if things get especially crazy. But I'm on the over. The over is my favorite play in this game.
Wow.
Delonte, thoughts on the total?
Yeah, I disagree a lot. I just think that, so basically the weakness of the Nuggets is their rim protection. So the 29th in rim percentage defense. But so do you trust Ayton to capitalize on that at the rim? I mean, I don't really trust.
I trust Booker and Durant more just being
slashers. I mean, Booker's more of a downhill threat than KD is. I will give you that. But they rank 30th in rim frequency, so they don't go to the rim a lot. They don't shoot the three. They don't shoot the three a lot. I think they're 26th in non-corner.
No, they specialize in mid-range jumpers, basically.
Right. Yeah, they're first in mid-range jumpers. But Denver is great at defending the three, but they do struggle a little bit defending the mid-range. So I think they'll run them off the free throw. I mean, I think they'll run them off the 3-point line. And I think game one is more of a filling out process. So I'm sure Phoenix, as much as they want to run, I don't know if they'll be able to run against the Nuggets, because the Nuggets are a deeper team. So you're going to play all those guys 40 plus minutes in the first game to wear them down. I'm not sure how much that's gonna, take into consideration with Monty Williams, but I think they'll be able to be efficient and have the scoring opportunities. But I think that both defenses will be able to play a big part. They don't go to the line a lot, but both teams are bottom 6 in free throw percentage offense, so it's not going to be a lot of fouling or scoring while the clock stops. So yeah, I like the under a lot. I'm intrigued to see how it plays out. I can see you guys' point. I guess the game flow that that I got in my head as far as how I think it's gonna go is more slower pace tempo, like slower tempo, half court grind out type of game.
I think because Denver likes to play fast, I think that the Suns can. I think the Suns can run as well. They do get campaign back. He's coming back. I mean, it just gives them an additional piece off of the bench where you don't have to play maybe Devin Booker and Kevin Durant or even Chris Paul, the amount of minutes that they were playing. That'll come down a little bit with you getting campaign back. But I think it's just the fact that Denver likes to run, and they've said that in this postseason that we like getting out and running with the basketball. So I think the pace will be interesting to see, at least in the first couple games. In the first game, maybe game 1 and game 2, and then we'll see how maybe Monty Williams or even Mike Malone adjust based on the results from those first 2 games. But I think that if you do like Denver, I know Scott and Terrell already covered this on the preview pod between these two teams. So if you haven't listened to it, go back and check it out. But if you like Denver to win this series, I think you probably look at Denver game 1 and them to win the series. I'm sure it's a very nice plus price for that. But I agree with Scott. I do like the over in this game as well. So that's the total. Delonte, player props in this game. What do you got?
Yeah, I got a couple. I got let's start at the top with probably my favorite one, which is KD over 27.5 points. So I think obviously, like I said at the top, it's a KD series. The Nuggets perimeter defenders, they had a hard time stopping Anthony Edwards. Now, Anthony Edwards, he averaged 31.6 a game in that series. And Edwards is characterized as a guard, but he played more small forward due to the injuries that happened. So the Nuggets had a hard time stopping him. He played well in the Clipper series, Durant that is, but Booker was obviously the tone setter on both ends. 13th in usage rate was Durant in the playoffs so far. Booker is 7th, so that just proves that Booker was more dominant with the ball, and his scoring ability was more effective than what Durant was able to do in that series. Denver has, like I said, more bodies to throw at Booker than Durant in this matchup. So I mean, if Aaron Gordon gets into foul trouble, which I'm assuming that he's going to be on him, like Aaron Gordon and Bruce Brown, I mean, what's going to happen? I think KD's going to score probably 35 every night in this series. Another one that I have that's pretty much correlated to this one is Booker over 5.5 assists. He's been a de facto point guard when Chris Paul's been on the bench to start the second quarter. He also still, handles and initiates the offense more than you would think with CP3 actually on the floor. They actually turned CP3 into a spot up shooter in the wing. I mean, on the wing. So I think Denver slows him down a little bit as far as offensive prowess. He's went over in 3 of the 5 games, including 10 in the closeout game against the Clippers. Even with Payne back, I'm not sure how much he plays, but I think the ball will still be in Booker's hands. So I like Booker over 5.5 assists. I like Craig over 1.5 threes. He shot 55% in round 1 from 3. We all know the looks will be there with Booker and Durant getting double teamed. So it just comes down to if he can make them. And I think he can make a couple threes here. He's going to be the X factor in the series. They're going to need some guys to step up if they want to win. So I expect a few more Craig threes after a disappointing game 5.
Yeah, I agree with you about the over on the Devin Booker assist at 5.5. For all the reasons that you mentioned. I also do like the other one I did like was the rebounds for Nikola Jokic at 12.5. It's a little bit of juice at minus 135, but again, definitely shop around for the best number. But I mean, he's been very good on the boards against his Phoenix Suns team, in particular in 2 games this season. 15 rebounds, 18 rebounds. The assists were there as well for him. So if you want to look at a rebounds plus assist for Jokic, I think that's definitely a possibility. But I think a lot of this series is going to hinge on what DeAndre Ayton's going to be able to do, if anything, against Nikola Jokic, and both on offense and defense. So we shall see. But those were the 2, liked. Scott, any player props you like?
For me, it's going to be mostly overs because I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. So I'm looking at Durant over. I'm looking at Booker over. I'm looking at potential Jokic triple-double. I'm kind of curious how the Suns are going to guard Jokic.
Mhm.
Maybe Jokic decides to, go off offensively with scoring. Maybe he passes. I think he's going to pass more, though.
Yeah.
I think he'll probably dare Phoenix to stop the cutters off ball. Murray threes I'm tempted by because he shot very well in that Minnesota series. But I see points for the most part. I think the biggest wild card in the series is Michael Porter Jr., though.
Mhm.
I think that the question is with him and Ayton, because both of them defensively can get played off the court, especially with foul trouble.
Mhm.
So I'm probably leaning more to unders with Porter Jr. and Ayton in this series because I do think foul trouble could be a serious issue for both guys. But I feel better about unders with Porter than Ayton because Ayton can still get some buckets on Jokic. Michael Porter Jr. is really he's just a 3-point shooter. I mean, he doesn't really create much off the dribble. He's mostly just going to pull up from 3, which he's good at. Don't get me wrong. He had a bit of a down or a bad stretch there to end that Minnesota series. But I think my main props are just going to be overs with regard to Durant and Booker. I think I would lean to Chris Paul under just because I think that Booker and Durant are going to handle most of the offensive responsibility. So I'm going to go with the main guys going over basically in this game. I see points once again.
You mind if I add something real quick, Munaf?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I like Michael Porter Jr. under 16.5 points too.
16.5 is crazy when he's mostly only going to shoot threes.
You're getting plus money on it too. You can get even money with 105, 110 if you shop around. So I'm betting it solely on the fact that I think his minutes are going to take a hit. So KD Booker playing those heavy minutes is not a lot of defensive things that Michael Porter can do to be able to stay on the court. So they're probably going to try to hide him, obviously, but I think Monty will try to exploit that and make Michael Malone make a decision. So you mentioned him struggling in the Wolves series. He was under this number in 3 out of 5 games in round 1. And not to even mention, he scored a combined 19 points in the 2 regular season games that he played against Phoenix. So Durant, Craig, Okogie, all capable wing defenders, and they match up well from a size perspective with Michael Porter Jr. So I probably will be betting this every game in this series until he burns me.
KD in the 2 games against Denver as a player for the Phoenix Suns had 29 points and 30 points respectively in those 2 games. So right now it's at 27.5 we said for Kevin Durant.
27.5, yep.
Yeah. So I think it should be a big Kevin Durant series for the Phoenix Suns. Anything else for this game, guys, before we get into the Knicks and the Heat series preview? I see Hassan asking about CP or KCP threes. Any thoughts on that?
I like KCP in the series. I want to see his minutes before I'm actually bet on it. Because he's been Michael Malone's been playing Braun a lot. He's been playing Braun.
Yeah.
I also thought that maybe Reggie Jackson could give him some minutes. I'm not sure. He's out of the rotation completely.
I forgot he was on the team. But yeah.
Right. I thought he could maybe be a spark, especially with the point guard problems that the Suns have. So I want to be on both of those guys. KCP is going to be on Booker, I'm assuming, for the most part. So him and Brown will probably switch as far as defensive things. So I gotta see it first with him and with KCP to be able to bet it. But I do like him in the series if he gets the minutes.
Scott, any thoughts for that?
Yeah, for me, I think I have to be a fan of KCP as well in the series. I'm not sure about game 1 because once again, I got to wait to see the minutes. But if Michael Porter Jr. is going to get less minutes because he can't guard anybody, then I'm assuming KCP is going to be a beneficiary of that. Probably Bruce Brown as well, or maybe even Brown. But the point is, they're both a bit undersized. KCP has some length, so I do think KCP would get more minutes if Porter Jr. is as bad defensively as we think he's going to be in the series. But I'm not sure about game 1.
Yeah, I think for game 1, you probably want to look at the stars, the guys that are going to get the minutes, your Jokic's, your Murray's, your Kevin Durant's, your Devin
How do I
Booker's.
take an under with Booker or KD at any point in the series when they might play 45 minutes? I don't know how I'm supposed to take an under with either guy.
Yeah, so I think the interesting conversation or the piece that you want to look out for after the first game or 2 is looking at what the minutes allocation is going to be for some of the supporting cast of role players off the bench and then base your plays off of that. All right, guys, let's get into the series preview for the Miami Heat and the New York Knickerbockers. Currently, the series preview price right now Miami Heat are the underdog for the series at plus 135, and the New York Knicks are favored at minus 165. Talked about how the Heat took care of business against the Bucks in 5 games. Knicks took care of business against the Cavs in 5 games as well. They are now matched up here in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Eastern Conference semifinals.
Yeah.
Scott, you want to lead it off here? Heat and Knicks. Who do you like in this series?
So initially, I was going to pick the Knicks because I do think that they have several players who can potentially, I don't want to say limit Jimmy Butler because it's playoff Jimmy, but at least they can give you different looks. You're hoping Thibodeau, as a defensive-minded head coach, will be able to give Butler a lot of things to worry about, keep him off balance, and try to basically dare anybody else to beat them. Once again, just making adjustments, something that Coach Bud didn't do in that entire series in the first round. Having said that, this price is absurd at minus 165. This is an insane price. Like the Knicks should be like minus 120 if I had to guess. 165 is crazy when Miami has the best player on the court. I just don't know how Miami can beat the 1 seed in the playoffs, the best record in the league, and they're plus 135 in the second. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm going to lean to the Knicks to win the series, but this price should be a lot lower. This should be around like Heat even money or basically a coin flip series. I'll lean to the Knicks for home court advantage, and I do think once again with Brunson and maybe Randall who can play better. I just think the Knicks have more guys. They have Josh Hart. Barrett played well in that series. I think that they have a couple more options than Miami does, but I really don't like this price. This price for me seems a bit excessive. I think there was a bit of a Knicks tax in there because of the fact the Knicks are relevant once again and they're the home team in the series, whatever. Based on the price, I'll go with Miami. But based on my overall thoughts for the series, I think the Knicks win in 7.
All right. Delonte.
Yeah, so I like Miami. I like them a lot here. I think the Knicks, although they play well defensively, I think it was
the Cavs also aren't a very good offensive team.
Right. Yeah, I think it had more to do with Cleveland being inept offensively and not having enough guys. Jimmy Butler's going to be the best player on the floor in every game. Do we know the status of Randall yet?
I don't think.
I didn't hear any updates on
I haven't seen any updates, but even if he does play, I think he's into subtraction.
Yeah, let's assume he plays, but he's like 70%.
Yeah. So I'm just assuming that he's going to play anyway. That's how I handicapped it. But he's the only person that can be able to guard Jimmy Butler, I think, to be at least reasonable.
I think Josh Hart's going to try.
Yeah, it's going to be Josh Hart, I think.
You think so?
Yeah.
I
think Jimmy.
Or maybe,
I think Jimmy will do
either RJ or Josh Hart.
For intensity alone, I think it'll be Josh Hart if I had to guess.
Yeah, see, I think RJ is a little bit too undisciplined. He'll jump on those pump fakes. I would love to see Quentin Grimes get a shot at him, to be honest. But like I like Miami here. I like how they switched up their pace of play. I like how they switched up their offense. They're running more in transition. They were 28th in transition points per possession offense, averaging about 2 per 100 possessions to 3rd in the playoffs. Obviously, all the playoff stuff is a small sample size. So they're averaging like 4.3 points per 100 possessions on the fast break in the playoffs. They're running more off a lot of rebounds. The thing that I do worry about is the 3-point frequency. They allow a lot of wide open threes, and if the Knicks get hot from 3, it could be beneficiary to them. Now, the Knicks offense, it took a hit. So they were 2nd in points per possession offense in the regular season, and now they moved to 12th. So like I said, the Cleveland defense did their job, but it's just their offense couldn't get going at all. I think the matchup somewhat I think they lean towards Miami here. The rebounding thing kind of bothers me. I think they got out-rebounded a lot during the season.
That's why I am also leaning to the Knicks. I just think Robinson's going to do his thing on the glass, but I'm not going to forget I saw Miami get killed by Atlanta in the play-in game on the boards. I really think the Knicks are going to win the rebounding battle by a decent amount in each game.
Yeah, but see, my thing with that is, I agree with you. They're probably going to get beat up on the glass. But a lot of the stuff, if you just watch that the Cleveland New York series, a lot of that stuff was effort. I don't think the Cavs had a lot of effort. That's not going to be an option with Miami. I think they're going to have the guys to be able to at least put forth the effort. And another thing that's in the Miami Heat advantage is Bam at the 5. Mitchell Robinson's going to have to come out of that paint a little bit and not be able to roam like
Does
he
he?
was. Yeah, I think he will. I think Bam's going to. I mean, he might not make a bunch of them, but he'll
That's
keep them
what
honest.
I'm saying. Are you, if you're the Knicks, are you really that scared of a Bam mid-range jumper? I don't know if you are.
Man, I think it's going to be a big Bam series. I mean, he had 42.
I might be a bit disrespectful, but I haven't seen Bam hit a mid-range jumper enough in the playoffs for me to think the Knicks are going to overreact and actually contest, and they're going to dare him to make some shots.
Yeah, but I think that the Bucks are a better defensive team, especially at the big position with Lopez and Giannis packing the paint a little bit more. I think they're more equipped to be able to deal with Bam. And Bam's confidence was probably a little bit more shot against Brook Lopez and Giannis. I think he'll have a lot more confidence. A couple of them went in that game 6. In that game 6,
Oh, he was great in the second half. He had 3 points at halftime. He finished with 20.
Yeah, so if the empty pick and roll, the empty side pick and roll is going to be open, I think he'll be able to roll a lot more to the basket, bringing those defenders up on the paint. So, man, I like Miami a lot here. I probably bet them to win in 6 games, to be honest with you. You can get a good plus price on that. Obviously, they're not going to shoot 50+% on contested threes. All those threes are not going to fall. But I think that New York is a little bit overvalued due to how well they look. But I mean, if you look in the box score, they didn't do anything offensively at all. Now Miami's not as good. Miami is not as good defensively as the Bucks, but Spo's going to have something drawn up for them. He's going to have
as the Cavs, but still.
Yeah, he's going to have something drawn up.
You said the Bucks. You mean they're not as good defensively as the Cavs.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. But yeah, I think Spo's going to have it drawn up, and he'll be able to limit some of the things that Brunson does. Yeah, man, I like Miami a lot here. Probably too much, but I'll be on them throughout the regular season. I played the series price already. Played them to win in 6. I don't think RJ is going to continue to play like this. Gabe Vincent does a really, really good job on RJ. 6 for 17 when defended by Gabe Vincent is RJ, and Randall was 9 of 22 when defended by Jimmy Butler. So they got the right matchups. It's just about exploitation on the offensive end and how good Bam can be. So I like the Knicks a lot here.
Yeah, I'm on the Miami Heat this series.
Not the Knicks, I mean the Heat. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm on the Heat here as well. I think just based on the price here at plus 135, especially, I think that for what Miami was able to do against this Milwaukee Bucks, you might know, they didn't have Giannis for about 2 full games of the Bucks, but Coach Spo had a great series coaching and making adjustments during that Bucks series. Like I think they were one of the slower paced teams, were the Miami Heat during the regular season, but they were playing at a very fast pace and making things uncomfortable for the Milwaukee Bucks. And I think that's something that Coach Spo does very well when we talk about coaching, especially in the playoffs, that he makes those adjustments. He's a great head coach, and he has that playoff experience. He has that championship experience. So I agree with Delonte that this should be a good series, a big series for Bam, and they're going to need him. I think he found something in the final 2 games against the Milwaukee Bucks, whether it was offensively or defensively as well. But I think offensively, they're going to need him as well. Jimmy is still going to be Jimmy. It's playoff time. I know he keeps on saying Jimmy playoffs is not or playoff Jimmy's not a real thing, but we all know that it is. We saw it in round 1. But you also had the guys for the Miami Heat step up the supporting cast, whether it was Kyle Lowry, who had 2 great games during the series. Defensively, he was very good. Gabe Vincent was consistent from 3-point land. Kevin Love was good as well for a couple games. He had a great game 5 as well. So as great as Jimmy was, he also got the support from the surrounding cast of the Miami Heat. For the Knicks, it'll be interesting to see how Miami Heat decide to defend Jalen Brunson, if they try to double him at times or throw different bodies at him and then try to make somebody else beat him, whether it's RJ Barrett or whether it's Julius Randle if healthy. That's going to be the interesting part that I want to see, because if I lose my money on RJ Barrett beating me in this series, then so be it. But I just think that we'll see. I think that we'll see different bodies and different looks thrown at Jalen Brunson, or maybe even getting double teamed at times. But again, I think the bigger question also going to be what the status and how effective Julius Randle is going to be for the New York Knicks. So I'm on the Heat plus 135 as well.
I think we're gonna see a lot of zone too from Miami. I think they're gonna make the Knicks make shots.
Yeah, I just don't think they're a very good 3-point shooting
Yeah, me
team.
either.
You're
As well.
That's
also,
Like
why.
you're
they
also
could get.
daring Thibodeau to make some adjustments against Spoelstra. Like I get it. Once again, I think I'm just going to lean to the Knicks just because of the home court, and I do think it actually matters for them. But at the end of the day, as I said before, the price is insane. At this price, I'm not taking the Knicks. At this price, I take the Heat. I just
Yeah.
think you'll get a better price on the Knicks mid-series at some point. I think it's going to be a war. I didn't say it's going to be easy. I said I have the
No.
Knicks in 7. So I think
Yeah.
that these teams are going to kill each other. But I do think that Milwaukee just kept doing the same thing over and over again defensively, which didn't work.
Mhm.
I think Spoelstra is going to have to make some adjustments because I think that Thibodeau will give Butler a bunch of different looks. I'm also going to dare the supporting cast to constantly step up like they did against Milwaukee. It's mostly just wondering. Yes, of course, Miami ended up beating Milwaukee, and props them for it. It felt like Coach Bud really handed them the series with no adjustments whatsoever.
Yeah.
I feel like because of that, I'm wondering if the Heat are a bit, I don't want to say overrated, but I'm at least pointing out that I do think a lot of that Heat series was we're going to let Milwaukee self-destruct and we're just going to sit around and we're going to wait until it happens and pounce. I thought the Knicks just thoroughly beat a team while really showcasing just a firm team identity. And I think that might pay off. But once again, I have a close series, but based on this price point, I take Miami. But I think the Knicks will win in 7.
Yeah, so it's implied probability of 62%. So we trust in the Knicks to win the series 62% of the time.
Yeah, once again, I'm not. I think
I'm just saying in general. Like that's 165 is about 62%, 60 to 62%, like implied probability of them winning. I don't think they're winning this 62 out of 100 times.
I'm giving it like 54, like something like that. So I said minus 120. I feel like that's around ballpark where it should be. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like 54% chance of Knicks, but at this price, there's no way in hell I'm betting the Knicks.
All right, guys. Quickly, any series props as far as series spread, total games, in the series? You have anything for that, Scott?
Well, I don't know what the juice is on 5.5, but I'm assuming it's going to be heavily.
Minus 180. It's not too bad.
I mean, I still like the over, but I don't know if I want to take 180.
Okay.
Do they have points per game averages or rebounds per game averages?
I see. No, not for this series yet.
Okay, then I guess I got nothing at this point because I think it's going to be close. What are the Heat plus 1.5 games?
That one I think I saw was minus 170. Let me double check here. Series spread. Heat plus 1.5 is minus 170.
I still like that at 170. I mean, I had the Knicks plus 1.5 against the Cavs, which cashed in game 4, but still, I like the Heat plus 1.5 games. Even though I picked the Knicks in theory, I still said 7. So either Miami wins the series or you have an absolute war on your hands. I do think this will be a longer series. If I had to pick one prop that's available right now, once again, we're kind of limited. I'd go with the Heat plus 1.5. Or if you want to make a case for maybe the Heat to lose game 1 and win the series, I don't know what the price is there. I'm curious what the price would be.
So Knicks win game 1, Miami win series is plus 360.
Okay. I was kind of hoping it'd be a little bit higher, but I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
What's the Heat to win game 1 and lose the series?
Plus 550.
Okay. 550, okay. I can maybe get behind that. But yeah, once again, I think it's going to be a close series. But my main pick, I guess, if I had to pick anything, we're throwing juice out the window. Heat plus 1.5 games at minus 170.
Heat to win game 1, Heat to win series is plus 310.
Okay.
That's kind of short.
You think it's short?
I mean, I think it's. I don't think those are good odds. Right. I don't think because what are they to win? What is the spread for game 1?
I think they're plus 4 in game 1. I think.
Let me see. Give me a second.
I'm pretty sure they're plus 4 in game 1.
Yeah, it's 4.
So what's the money line? Like what plus 130?
Plus 155.
Yeah, I mean, you could just roll it over on 2 games and get you. I mean, I guess I don't know. I'm not good with like rollover parlays.
The math stuff.
Yeah, I'm not good with that.
Delonte series prop bet, series spread, total games.
Yeah, I like the Heat minus 1.5 games. What is that?
Plus 310. Sorry,
Yeah,
no.
I think they'll win in 6.
Give me a second. I think it was plus 220.
Yeah,
Series
Delonte, you should
spread
have just went right forward. What's the Heat in 6?
Yeah.
plus
That should have been your first.
225. Sorry. So Heat minus 1.5 is plus 215. And then for them to win in 6 is plus 425. So
Yeah, let me get that. That's a good call, Scott. Yeah.
Heat in 6 plus 425.
Yeah, I like the Heat a lot. I mean, I just think the Knicks are just they just from my perspective, I think they just out hustled and out determined that Cavs team. And I think the Cavs
Cleveland was broken as soon as they went back to MSG. They mentally checked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think that's going to happen with the Heat. And I trust Spo, I trust Jimmy to be able to. Now the thing is, you can't counter argue and say obviously the Heat are not going to be that hot from 3, and they probably won't. But you don't really need to be that hot from 3. You could just be, average, somewhere in between.
Well, and the Knicks aren't the greatest offensive team, so
that too. So yeah, man, I trust Spo, I trust the Heat to be able to put down some of the stuff, and they have the defenders for Brunson. I don't even think they're gonna have to double Brunson. I think they'll be able to guard him straight up and not be able to double, and they'll pack the paint, so they'll be able to limit the second chance opportunities. If they limit those second chance opportunities, which is where the Knicks offense mostly came from, I think they can pretty much win this series easily. It can be competitive, but it can still be 4-2.
But who do you think would guard him? If you had to guess,
Brunson. Well, I'm guessing they'll put this is what I've seen from a Heat insider as far as like what he thought they were going to do, and I thought that was interesting. So he put Vincent on RJ Barrett. He put Jimmy on Randall, and what's the other guard? Strus will play.
Brunson?
Strus will play Brunson. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Again, we know Coach Spo is great with adjustments as well. So if it needs to be halftime adjustment or in game adjustment, we know he'll definitely do that.
And then Caleb Martin coming in is a capable defender also. And then obviously Kyle Lowry, he's not as good of a defender, but still
he can cross some. He's
got active hands. He can.
Yeah, there you go. The active hands is what it is.
Yeah, so I think they got a lot of guys through. So I think that's to their advantage where they don't have to double Brunson. I mean, if Randall's out there, he's hobbled. Probably not going to have to do much with him anyway. So I think that packing that paint and being able to all 5 crash the glass at one time to try to keep them off the glass will really be to their advantage.
Yeah, I think for the Miami Heat, I mean, they don't have it's not the sexiest names when you talk about their supporting cast, but they're a hell of a unit as far as the role players. I mean, we saw that on full display in the Bucks series as well, outside of what Jimmy was able to do. So it's gonna be a fun series, guys. So we'll take it game by game as we usually do, and then we'll get into obviously game by game for the series between the Heat and the Knicks. So it should be a fun one. All right, guys, let's wrap it up here for this episode. Let's get into our lock and dog here for tonight for the Denver Nuggets and the Phoenix Suns game 1. Delonte, you want to lead us off with your lock and dog?
Yeah, I'm going with Denver first quarter. It's like a -1.5. If you want to just play the money line to be safer as far as if it's tied, I'll play the half. I think that not Clippers. I think that the Suns get off to a slower start. They did against the Clippers in most of those games. I think Denver capitalized on it, being that they're really, really good at home. For the dog, I'm going with Michael Porter Jr. under 60.5 points at plus money. I think we all talked about him not being able to stay on the floor. So I like him under 16.5. That's probably going to be one of my favorite props of the series, actually.
All right. Scott, what do you got?
All right. So for my lock, I'm contemplating if I want to go with the over or if I want to take a player prop. You know what? I'm just going to go with the player prop. Give me Durant over 27.5 points. We mentioned before how he was very good against Denver in the regular season. We think it's going to be a good series for him, whether it involves pick and rolls with Durant being the big or just involves isolation situations. It felt like KD took a little bit of a back seat in the first series against the Clippers because they just wouldn't guard Devin Booker. I think Durant's going to be more aggressive in the series because of matchup, so I'll go with Durant over 27.5 points as my lock. And for my dog, I'm going to join Delonte. What was the plus money on Porter under for points?
It was even money. It was even money.
It was even money, and the points were 16.5, you said?
16.5, yep.
Yeah, give me the under on Porter Jr. at 16.5 points. I think it's a terrible series for him, just because of potential foul trouble and defensive miscommunication, and the fact that Booker and Durant might play 40-plus minutes apiece. We know Malone is not afraid of throwing Porter Jr. into the doghouse because he can't guard anybody. I think he's going to be in a miserable state of mind throughout this series. Give me Porter Jr. under. I think that he's going to be benched defensively, or he might just let it roll over and impact his offensive game. But Porter Jr., once again, really doesn't create much off the dribble. He's mostly a guy who comes around screens and chucks threes, but that can be a bit streaky. He wasn't very effective late in that Minnesota series. I'm going to agree with Delonte. Give me the under 16.5 points on Porter Jr. at even money as my dog.
All right. For my lock, I am going to go with the Phoenix Suns team total to go over. That's currently at 112.5 for this game. I think that at least Scott and I are expecting to see points in this series. I think we'll see it in game one here as well. We saw what they were able to do offensively against the Los Angeles Clippers. Asking them to get 113, 114 points here tonight, I don't think is out of the possibility for this Phoenix Suns team. So I think the pace will be up in this game as well. Even if it does get into half court, I think they will be very efficient, will the Phoenix Suns. So over 112.5 right now, you can get that over on DraftKings. For my dog, was looking for Aaron Gordon. Yeah. Aaron Gordon steals and blocks right now is at 1.5 at plus 130. I really like that over there. He went over this in all three games against the against the Phoenix Suns during the regular season. He recorded at least one steal in every game and one block in every single game against the Suns during the regular season. And then I know he didn't really fill it up against the Minnesota Timberwolves, but I think this at this price at plus 130, I really do like the over 1.5. I also would look at Jokic 15 plus rebounds at plus one. I think it was plus 170. But Aaron Gordon steals and blocks combined over 1.5 at plus 130 for game one between the Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast. Delonte, anything else you want to mention before we get out of here, my man?
Nah, man, that's it. Let's enjoy the games and try to get some winners. Hope we can stay hot.
Scott, anything else?
No, not really. Just looking forward to the game tonight. Looking to watch some hockey as well. Keep them busy. So hopefully win some of your bets.
Yeah. Delonte and Terrell will be back, I think, later tonight, if I'm not mistaken. Or
yeah, I think
tomorrow.
he said 7. I think he said 7 p.m. today.
Okay. So look out for that if you're listening to this pod and watching live as well. They'll preview the Sixers and the Celtics series, and then also discuss game one between the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks. So look out for that, probably around 7 Eastern tonight. Be a good time to make sure you're subscribed to the NBA Gambling Podcast YouTube account, YouTube channel. Whenever we do go live, you get that notification right on your phone. Also, subscribe to us on Apple or Spotify or wherever you do listen to your pods, and leave us a rating and review, guys. It really does help us out. We don't ask for much, but if you could, if you guys can do that for us, that would be amazing. All right. Good luck with your bets here tonight. Let's break these books off and let it ride.